to everybody out there, and welcome. Get ready to shatter some conventional thinking, because this episode of the Six Figure Speaker Spotlight is all about redefining how we view race, nationality, and branding in the marketing world. I'm your host, Kelly O'Hara, and today we have a truly remarkable guest. Here we explore how the art of speaking can elevate your career, amplify your message, and transform your business. So get ready, because this episode is packed with insights that will not only inspire you, but also challenge the way you think about diversity in your marketing. Today, we have the incredible Dr. Amara Pope joining us. Dr. Pope is a powerhouse in the marketing world, a TEDx speaker, and a PhD graduate in media studies. With over a decade of experience, she's been at the forefront of developing and executing marketing strategies that break barriers and build lasting brands. Her work is a blend of creativity and strategy, making waves in both academic and professional speakers. And she's a committed fine artist, no less, which plays into all of this. Dr. Pope's expertise in intersectionality, specifically how race and nationality shape personal identities and commercial brands, is both timely and transformative. She has worked across various industries, driving campaigns and initiatives that emphasize the importance of inclusivity and authenticity in marketing. Her leadership insights and innovative approach make her a sought-after speaker and thought leader. So join us as we delve into her journey, explore her groundbreaking work, and discover how she uses her voice to inspire and empower others to embrace diversity as a strategic advantage. So let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Amara Pope.
What an introduction. Thank you so much.
You're so young and so vibrant, and I was really excited to have you on the show. And currently, your day job, you're a marketing and communications manager for a global telematics company called Trackunit. I really want to ask you about this. How did you transition to this role, and what drew you to this particular field?
I've been in marketing, communications, and branding for over 10 years now. I started in account management and sales, then I moved to communications, then I moved to branding, then I moved to the marketing game. So I had all spectrums of the marketing world. But I found this role was really interesting because it's at the intersection of technology and construction. Both are very important fields in developing the world, but I also find that they're very fast-paced. And at the intersection of tech and construction, it's also very male-dominated. So as a young minority woman, I definitely found that it was a great fit for me to represent more diversity in the space.
I know you're in the right place, but what was for you the defining moment or the catalyst that kind of set you on a path of shaping global narratives and driving like strategic messaging? What called to you about that?
When I was starting in account management, it was actually at a marketing investment firm. And so I was surrounded by a lot of males and white males specifically in a boardroom for my first kind of full-time job outside of the academic realm. And so representing diversity was really important to me. And then when I went on to do communications at an investment firm just a year later, they actually had me completely help with a rebranding and redevelopment of their entire website. So that was a huge project to take on at a very young age. And one of the first things I recalled as a project that I was assigned for in this wider project was to represent diversity in their marketing materials and on their website. So I was introduced to that concept at a very young age, and that's something I've taken with me at every role and every position I've gone on to do.
I applaud you because I know how tough that is. I was also into breaking barriers. I was in the gaming industry for a long time. There weren't a lot of women. And just like you said, there's a lot of, it's male dominated, and a lot of white males and a lot of Asian males. And it was really, it's a challenging market, but that makes it really exciting. And they need a female perspective. Trust me, they do. And that's across the board. In all industries, really, a woman's perspective can be very helpful, not just in marketing and yes, in bringing in new audiences and bringing them together, but just a different perspective that's helpful to have. Otherwise, it just becomes too homogenous. And so for you to be in that at such a young age and to have been to have walked into that so young, I applaud you for taking that on. It's not easy to do, but it's definitely worthwhile. And you're cutting new paths, so that's exciting.
And I completely resonate with the idea of it being difficult because not only was I young in my career, but it takes a lot of courage to be able to speak up in a boardroom where you look different or you feel different and your gender becomes a factor as well. And so I had to build that confidence very early on. And I was lucky that I was thrown into the deep end and worked in these sales and these marketing roles because I had to either sink or swim. And so because I've been able to build on that now, it's something I've become an advocate for. But I do say I completely understand when people are feeling that reservation to be able to speak up in those situations.
There's nothing that will teach you faster than being under fire like that. Same thing in that boardroom with all men at the table
Yeah.
and maybe another woman in the room. I've had that experience. You develop you better develop and know your position. I used to have on my wall, I'll share something with you in the audience. I used to have on my wall, it was a photo of a team of sled dogs because my mom had lived in Alaska and we had a team of sled dogs. I was a child at the time. But I remember underneath, I had a caption under it that said, "The view is always the same except for the lead dog." And I always think about it. And I always thought, yeah, I would rather be on the front end of trying something new and bringing it to everyone, even though initially you may meet some resistance. Getting those projects through is so exciting, isn't it? Being able to push those through and make them happen, and then let everybody see that the world not only does fine, not only will everything be okay, but they will now thrive. They will now do better. And you've really gone past that. You've experienced that glass ceiling at such a young age that what could stop you now?
And I love the sled dog quote because that's something that's so true. It's not only wanting to be at the forefront, but also not knowing what's in front of you and just you keep going to see where you can push those barriers. And I find that the sweetest experience is not only when the project is done, but when the work shows itself for you. You get to say, I proved you wrong.
Exactly, because there's a lot of people in that room, in that boardroom, that are thinking that idea is not going to fly. And we will make it. Not only it's going to soar, because we can't allow it to do anything less than that. So that is a sweet victory. It's also a powerful place to learn the power of no, to be able to stand up in front of the whole group and go, no, I don't think that's a good idea for these reasons. That's a hard thing to do too. And once you've mastered that, my goodness, you have your voice, you are in command. And however it goes in the future, whichever way they decide is how they decide. But the point is, there's no better place, I'll tell you, to firm up your voice and to find out who you are. So I applaud you. I applaud you. We got to take a little bit of a left turn here, because as you're conquering boardrooms and you're cutting new territory and you're approaching global projects and perspectives, you're also a fine artist. How does that play into all of this?
In my undergraduate degree, I got a double major. It was in English and fine arts with a digital media specialization. Then I went on to do a master's of communication studies and a PhD in media studies. So I've always been interested in different forms of communication, different forms of art. And when I looked at fine arts, painting, that resonated with me so much. But as I got more into marketing in the corporate world, I looked more at digital marketing and digital media and moved away from the painting. Now that I've completed PhD and I'm working full time on the side, I am thoroughly enjoying working on commissions pieces, as well as just painting what I'd like and having them displayed in galleries. I have an upcoming exhibition happening in a month from now at a local gallery. And that to me means so much, because contributing to a local space as an artist, I get to see a beautification happen in the world around me in my everyday life. And that's something that I'm very passionate and excited about.
I love that. So you're an artist all the way around. You're an artist in your real life. I paint as well, not like you, just for enjoyment. And for me, it's just peaceful. Okay. I just love working with that side of my brain and working with colors. It's so relaxing. You, on the other hand, an accomplished artist and out there. Creativity really is the name of your game, isn't it? Strategy is one thing. Creativity and strategy, wow, that's a dynamic combination.
Thank you. But I will say that is also where I find my peace and my restoration, because when I was actually conducting my PhD research and then it was done the project, waiting for, there's a period when you're completed your project and you're waiting for your defense to actually come up, where you get to go in and publicly defend your work. It usually is a bridge of about a month or two. So during that time, I was working, but my anxiety was raised out of the roof. I'm just waiting for this day when I can finally have it completed and done. So I started painting. After 10 years of my life, I finally picked up a paintbrush and started painting. And I remembered how much painting becomes a form of meditation for me. I got to sit alone, listen to music, or even be outside and just be alone and have a solstice in that experience. To me, although I've turned it into a career, I still find that is the space where I'm the most relaxed.
Oh, I love hearing this because I share your same. I feel like you're a little sister here. Because honestly, it is so peaceful and it gives you time to think and knock out the rest of the world. Don't you find some of your best ideas come while you're painting? For me, it's that and gardening.
Oh.
There's something about taking care of things, letting that part of yourself, all of a sudden something else kicks in and you get a download of ideas for your
Yeah.
business. At least that's how it works for me.
Yes, no, and even outside of business, just reflecting on experiences and emotions and just really thinking things through, whether it's next steps in career or just family life. It could be a conflict I had with somebody and then I'm thinking it through, putting yourself in other people's shoes. It's the only time I think I can really sit with my emotions and think things through. And so I completely understand where you're coming from.
So here you are, you've got a PhD and you've got research on Canadian R&B artists.
Mhm.
That's fascinating to me. You really are a very diverse girl in so many different ways. You're a full-fledged woman with your fingers in a lot of pies. But how did you come to specialize in that area, and what kind of insights did you get that influence your current work today?
It's crazy how things came full circle in my academic career, because I'm no musician. I can't sing, I can't dance. I'm not a performer in that R&B world, but I'm a fan. I'm a huge fangirl of certain R&B artists. And I grew up in Canada. So I moved actually from Scarborough, Ontario, where it was really diverse. My parents are from the Caribbean, so we had a lot of R&B, soca, reggae music all throughout our houses and our neighborhoods. But then they moved me to a really small town in Ontario where we were known as the Brown family in the corner house. There was very little diversity in the space. It was predominantly white. We had Mennonites, horse and buggies, really small town. And so the music that I listened to at home, it wasn't as familiar with my peers, my classmates. And in Canada, it took a long time for that kind of music and those kind of faces to be seen on television or heard on radio. So I got to experience as a 90s kid that switch when we finally had hip hop, R&B, and rap music just finally appearing in mainstream media. And so I didn't realize, but that would be something I would be influenced and very much inspired by, because during my master's degree, I was exploring communications and I was looking at music videos and looking at different forms of marketing. And when I heard and saw Nicki Minaj's Pound the Alarm music video, it was representing Trinidad in where my parents are from on television and in the radio stations that I had never had that representation experienced before. And so I started exploring how artists represent their different identities in music and in music videos, and then saw this shift where Canadian artists of different races and of different ethnicities and genders represent R&B music in a space where it was predominantly Black America. So we had all these different things happening, a changing face of Canada, and then Canadians asserting themselves in a space they were for a long time excluded from. So I looked at how artists like Justin Bieber, a white Canadian small town Ontarian guy, Jessie Reyes, a second generation Canadian Colombian woman, and Drake, a biracial artist from Canada, all participate in R&B music in unique ways. So that's something I was really interested in, because it was a combination of so many of my interests in marketing and media, social media, and then in identity studies. So that's why I chose to end up studying those three artists.
I gotta say, that was going to be one of my questions to you, is really how you differentiate yourself. Said.
Thank you.
Clearly, well said across the board. You have so many diverse interests, and it's interesting bringing it all together. So how do you do this in your role at Trackunit? You manage messaging and PR and content production and so many more things, right? What impacts that and what motivates you with those responsibilities? And why is this work so important to you?
Well, right now for me, representing diversity is of the utmost importance. So I'm helping elevate a lot of voices, primarily females, in the construction and tech space, but also addressing issues that I think go unrecognized. A complete parallel, but looking at how Canadian R&B was long underrepresented and misunderstood. Same thing with things in construction and technology, looking at how they are benefiting and looking at different emissions reporting and environmental studies. That often goes overlooked because we think about all the pollution and all these negative connotations associated with these industries. So for me, it's just about elevating these voices, whether it's customers, whether it's our team members, or whether it's just issues that I think need to be addressed for the larger global scale.
It's phenomenal what you're doing, honestly. I love these interviews because while I do a lot of research on my guests that come, I love discovering them on the air. I love hearing what is important to you and how you want to cut your own road. What are some of the common misconceptions about branding and marketing in your industry? And pick one, anyone. You have exposure to so many. And how do you address them? What do you think?
I believe that there's still a lot of stereotypes surrounding Canadians in particular. And I think that through my academic research, I've found that diversity, sure, is a blanket term, so is multiculturalism, but really digging deep and understanding what that means. And that could apply to the music industry, that could apply to just the marketing and branding of any local companies. I think really understanding who our audience is. We have a huge influx of immigrants from all over the world in Canada, and I think it's really important to have those different voices represented in the space. I'm a child of immigrants. I'm a second generation immigrant in Canada. So I understand those immigrant struggles and the barriers that can sometimes come with the acculturation when you're coming to Canada. And that's applicable to anywhere in the world right now. We're in a huge global industry where people are moving in and out into different spaces. The US has so many immigrants there too. I think understanding that shift that's happening where we're seeing so much diversity in such rich areas of different countries is really important to understand and apply to the way you're marketing and appealing to different audiences.
Yes, we have more in our country as well by the day. we,
Yeah.
we have so many people, and no matter where you fall on their presence here, communication is going to be critical to moving through that situation with grace, hopefully some dignity and some good common sense. You can play either side of this. Nonetheless, we're talking about people connecting with people and how to get people going in the right direction,
And you know
working
what?
together.
And there's no way to sugarcoat it. There's going to be growing pains, but it's just really understanding both sides and the third side, which is there's always multiple sides to a story, and really trying to ease that connection, I think is the greatest thing we can do with our communication and marketing.
So true, so well said. Now tell me, public speaking, when did that become a significant part of your career, and how has it played out for you in your professional journey?
I actually, back in high school, I did the International Baccalaureate program at Cameron Heights Collegiate Institute, which in high school, essentially, the IB program allows you to do advanced placement courses in different areas. And one thing heavily focused on was English. And in my English courses, I did a lot of public speaking and presenting in those classes. I didn't think that, again, it would turn into a huge career opportunity, but I was presenting at a young age, and that was something I was comfortable with. I realized I love speaking to large audiences. After that, when I went on to do my bachelor's and my master's, that often involves a lot of presentation in the subject areas I was in. And I presented my research at conferences across Canada during my master's degree. What happened was one of the papers that I wrote in just a random class, that was something I presented at different conferences, and somebody in the audience heard about my research on Drake. And they then worked in the media. And so that was something that I was able to conduct interviews. I was being interviewed by CBC, CTV Toronto, Vice Media, iHeartRadio, all these different avenues and I was not a trained public speaker whatsoever. I had no entertainment industry background. I'm just a little girl going up and talking about my research. So that was really fun for me. But what spiraled a year later was being invited to do a TEDx talk. And again, no experience whatsoever doing that. And so I just threw myself in. I'm the kind of person to just jump in and try and we'll figure it out as we go. And so then I showed up to do that. It was an audience of over 4,000 in person and then live streamed as well. And I realized how much I loved it. So that has developed now that I've done more research and have more experiences in marketing as an opportunity for me to talk to companies, speak in universities and different workshops and conferences about my research and about my work experience. Yeah.
You have just had such a breadth of experience
Yes.
in such a short period of time. It's phenomenal. It's as if you're talking about three different people. And I've checked you out. It's true, everybody. She has done all of this and clearly phenomenally well. So that we can inspire other people out there who might be thinking, I can't touch that. Has there been any setbacks or any obstacles, or even better, a mistake that you might have made that turned out to be a great lesson or a great gift to you? Is there a circumstance that you could share with us to to the rest of the human audience know that no, there are setbacks for even people like Amara who are fearless in multiple fields, that there are challenges?
Yeah, no, I'm human. I have definitely gone through my fair share of stressful moments. I, at one point, even took on so much stress and so much pressure that I had an eating disorder in my undergraduate degree because I felt this need for perfection and trying to take on all these different hats. It's something I overcame with just being an advocate for working out and having a healthy work-life balance. But there are moments where stress can affect you and take a toll on your body. So that was a huge wake-up call for me to really prioritize my health, because no matter what you do in life, if you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to make it to the end. And so I think that has become the pivotal goal for me, is to just maintain a good, healthy work-life balance and be able to have enough time with my family members and my friends. Career is always great, but it has to be second best to your health.
So that was a great realization and a great gift for you.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like
Definitely.
that, wow, all this is going so great and I'm knocking it out of the park, and yet I have an eating disorder and I recognize it, and that has to be dealt with first, which you're so right. If you don't feel good, if you're not healthy, people say, well, if you're not healthy, it's not going to work out. If you don't feel good, nothing feels good.
No.
Nothing's enjoyable, all the success in the world.
And it was something subconscious, because I was taking on, it was ridiculous, but doing this double major with a specialization at that age, I was working 3 different jobs to pay for my education. It was ridiculous. I was taking 6 courses, that's over the course load, and 3 different jobs. It was so much to balance. And I didn't prioritize having proper set meals. And that seems like such a silly thing, but when you have so many things on the go, you just don't prioritize your health. So I think that is something that I have taken with me and I will continue to take with me for the rest of my life. But sometimes it's something subconscious that you're not even realizing what you're doing to yourself. And if you work like a zombie, you're going to burn out. There's a perpetual burnout waiting for you at the end of that. So definitely important to prioritize your health.
I love that. And it sounds, again, a shared thing, perfectionism. I'm a recovering perfectionist, that it has to be right, has to be good. It's good enough isn't in my vocabulary. I have a feeling you might have a little of that running through you too. So that keeps you constantly trying to do the very best job on every single thing, to the exclusion of yourself. So it is beautiful that you paint. I really resonated with me. That's your meditation. And I know meditation was game changing for me, and painting is another level of meditation that I think is just beautiful. So good for you. So in public speaking, would you say, do you recommend public speaking to other people in your field and to people coming behind you? And what are the unique benefits that it offers to professionals from your perspective?
I think public speaking is a great skill that you can continue to develop. You don't have to be a perfect public speaker to just start. I think just trying, you can start with small audiences and work your way up, or just maintain even a visual audience online and be able to speak to whoever wants to listen to your experiences. And that's why I'm trying to say that you don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the most opportune moment for you to be able to deliver whatever you have in your head. And everyone has something of value to deliver, whether it's a personal experience, something you learned at work, something you learned in a relationship. Anyone can benefit from just hearing your story. So that's why I would advocate for just trying it. Do something new and let yourself develop that kind of skill.
That's fabulous and so encouraging to people. If you just get out and speak about what you do authentically, if you care about it, it will resonate. People can teach you the skills. That's easy. I can help you find the right stages for you. No problem. But getting up there and having the courage to speak about what you do, you're already doing it anyway. Get out there and learn how to talk about it, and people will hear you, because it's about connection. It's about relationship. And I think that speaking really does exponentially grow your opportunities faster than anything. So again, not wanting to focus on youth, however you have it, and I can't believe what you've accomplished in a decade. But what do you hope that your legacy will be?
I think what I would like to leave as a lasting impression on the world is just understanding differences, because that's something that affected me at a young age. Just understand, and it was something I didn't really even understand. I didn't understand why my skin color was darker than all of my peers. I remember a classmate asking me, were you born like that, or did you tan a lot? I didn't get my racial difference at a young age. That's something that I had to learn and educate myself about through my parents, through my family, through now the internet. Social media is something new for this new generation. And the biggest thing I can advocate for is educate yourself on differences, because that's going to create so many less barriers between others, and it just becomes a really open space for communication.
And where's a good place for people who are inspired by your message? Where can they go to find out more ideas on how to expand on this, more ideas on how to take a look and benefit from better communication and embracing diversity?
I think that I would first recommend the PhD dissertation I put together. That's 400 pages. And
Wow.
yes, and within those 400 pages, there's a reference list of pages and pages of books, of texts, of articles, academic and non-academic, that helped me craft this study on identity and of R&B, Canadian R&B music. But a lot of it is on intersectionality. And I think intersectionality is a great place to start, because racial differences is one aspect. There's gender, there's national differences, there's many different ways to look at differences. So I think that starting from somewhere, intersectionality is a great start, and then build out from there.
It's fantastic. All right, my last question to you is this. Bucket list. What's on your bucket list? Tell me a couple of things that you have not done yet. You can dig that out. A couple of things, whether it's personal, whether it's professional. Tell me what's out there for you that you think, oh, still on my bucket list. I can't wait to accomplish that, or receive that, or acquire that, or create that. Give me one so people know you even better.
One, I would love to actually take it to the next level and do a TED Talk, because I've done a TEDx talk and I've done public speaking in different spaces, but a TED Talk is the next big goal of mine.
That is already in the works, I can already tell. That's an easy one. You will be right up there. I can't wait to hear, and I will be there to listen. I'm so excited about that. Thank you so much, Amara, for coming on this show today and sharing your insights, and honestly, such vast experience for such a young person who's so wildly accomplished. Really, your perspective and expertise in marketing and wow, almost slipped there. Intersectionality. Don't drink and say that word at the same time. But really, marketing and intersectionality with brand building, it's exceptional and it's thought-provoking. And that's always what I'm looking for on this show, is if it gets people thinking about things differently, and that's a good show. To our audience, if you want to learn more about Dr. Pope and her transformative work, visit her website at dramarapope.com. And some of the takeaways from this, there are so many of them. I can't believe that you have so much experience with such a diverse group of topics, from construction, tech, marketing, public speaking, music, art. It's ridiculous. You were blessed with a lot of gifts, and obviously have put the work into building them. So I just love that. And one of the key takeaways I'm taking from this interview today is the importance of embracing diversity and inclusivity in your marketing strategies, because it fosters authenticity and it builds stronger, more resonant brands. And you are the poster child for that. So thank you so much for being here, Amara.
Thank you so much for having me and for those lovely questions.
I want to thank everyone else for being here as well, and for tuning in to the episode of the Six Figure Speaker Spotlight. We hope you found today's conversation interesting and enlightening when it comes to looking at how we're moving forward and how we're marketing and communicating globally. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up or share it with someone who would benefit from hearing the spotlight, or might be an amazing gift and guest and fellow inspirer, just like Amara. Any of these really help us grow our show and reach more entrepreneurs and business leaders like yourself. And for those who recognize the importance of public speaking, but they don't know where to start, listen, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me on LinkedIn. I have a wealth of resources and tools and direct contacts that can help you launch the speaking side of your business. Or if you're a seasoned speaker and you want new platforms as well, I'm here to help. And with that, this is Kelly O'Hara, and I can't wait to share our next guest with you. Remember, public speaking is the key to unlocking your potential and making an impact. Public speaking, it isn't just about words, it's about wielding your voice to change the world. Amara does that very well. And as always, I look forward to our next conversation. I'll see you next time.